get to throw another topic out there to you guys on a totally different idea. Okay, so I'm going to talk to you a wee bit longer than I did for my last one, but I will make it short. Basically, thanks for coming and listening to my talk on co-constructed occupations in children. And again, I'm looking at it from more of a critical perspective. So what's the story? This idea for a research topic was born out of my experience, not necessarily as a clinician, but as a mother, and participating in my local early years center. I would sit back and watch the children interact, and the parents sort of nervous governing of their child's behavior, especially around my son, who's inappropriately affectionate with many little girls. And the parents saying, "That's enough touching." And also the structure of the supposed free play environment that the children are interacting in. It all lent itself to the thought of what's different about children's play and interactions from an occupational perspective. So what's going on here? So children's occupations have largely been researched from a developmental perspective. But when looking at this idea through a critical lens and from the child's perspective, how is their participation in occupations different? The idea of looking at this from a different perspective adds another piece to the puzzle that is not available in occupational science literature at this point in time. So, what is their participation in occupations, and also most importantly, what's the meaning that children ascribe to those activities that they participate in on a daily basis? When do we look at the meaning of children's occupations versus their occupations as a developmental pathway for higher learning? The culture of childhood is largely influenced from external variables, such as parents, therapists, social policies, and discourse. Children, as a unique culture unto themselves, participate in occupations, often in a co-constructed manner. They engage with one another on various social levels within a specific time and place. We as parents, aunts, uncles, therapists, often are not privy to their little secret society. We often miss that big sign with flashing lights that say no parents allowed or no adults allowed. We often jump in and dictate their course of play. So why is this relevant? We need to add a new piece to the understanding by moving away from the developmental perspective and into a space that looks at the co-occupations of children as a meaningful activity within the context of their own culture. Viewing the activity as an end in itself, instead of a means to prepare our children for entry into the real world. It's not, and again, this area is not emphasized within the occupational science literature. Adding this perspective to the mix will allow for a deeper understanding of the co-occupations of children. So clinical relevance, so where's the payoff in looking at this? So overlooking the meaning and the importance of children's co-occupations from this perspective, we as therapists, parents, etc., may be viewing their occupations in a completely inaccurate way. We might be forcing our ideas of what's right, how children should play, and how children should interact with one another, especially not showing too much of affection towards other kids. We as parents and therapists also may be essentially creating superficial, inadequate, or false environments to try to elicit this co-constructed play with our clients or with our children to develop learning. So perspective study, the nitty-gritty of what I'm thinking of going with this idea or topic. The constructivist paradigm, the methodology, sort of a critical ethnography idea, and the theoretical frameworks of symbolic interactionism, critical social theory, and social constructivism. So the methods of observation, art-based data collection methods. Again, it struck me from, I had a talk with Shannon about her use of photo elicitation in children. Interviews and task-orientated activities. So analysis, knowledge claims, all that, I'm not even there yet. Obviously, I've pitched 2 ideas to you guys, so hopefully I can get some feedback on that. But the key considerations that I'm keeping in the back of my mind as I talk about this issue is the power imbalances between researchers, therapists, children, gatekeepers, both formal and informal, and the ability to pass into this secret society of childhood. Creative and innovative data collection methods, informed consent and confidentiality, entry and exit into the field, and from Angela's talk before about the discussion that struck me in the use of language. So to wrap things up, nice and short, is that through this research project, or this research idea, I hope to add a new piece of knowledge to the puzzle of understanding childhood occupations. I feel as though it's important to recognize the unique culture of childhood and to look at this topic through a critical lens and to acknowledge the nonlinear, messy, and often unruly nature of childhood occupational development. So I'd like to thank you for your time, and if you have any questions or concerns, I'd love to talk, learn, and gain some insight into this topic later on today. Thanks.